Hello friends, in this video we'll talk about the changes which have happened in GSTR-3B and the calculation of interest changes which have happened after the 47th GST Council meeting. So these changes have been notified, which we are going to discuss today, right? So first and foremost, in GSTR-3B there is a column which is 3.2, which talks about interstate supplies made to unregistered persons, composition taxable persons and UIN holders. The government has found out that in a lot of cases these figures which is to be filled up for interstate supplies for all these persons are not filled up properly. So what they have essentially done is pointed out that these figures needs to be filled up absolutely correctly, because this is the basis on which the states get their share of revenue. And also it has been said that these details will now be auto-populated from B to C in GSTR1. So ideally B2C as per GSTR1, whatever has been filled up there, if there is any interstate supplies, that will automatically be filled up in 3B. And if there are any changes, that needs to be manually made here. Also, if there are any amendments made in GSTR1 for B2C, even those needs to be filled up here. Again, if there is any supplies to composition dealers and UIN holders, that also needs to be filled up here. They have stressed upon the fact that if these details are not filled up correctly, in that case the states may not get their share of revenue accurately, right? Second, what they have done is they have inserted a new table. This is details of supplies notified under 9(5) of the CGST Act, which essentially talks about supplies made through e-commerce operator, where e-commerce operator is liable to pay taxes. This is for transportation of passengers, accommodation in hotels, housekeeping services. Latest addition is the restaurant services, where the person liable to pay tax is the e-commerce operator. Mind you, these persons will not fill up their details from now onwards in 3.A, which is outward taxable supplies. They will be filling up their details in this new table, which is 3.1.1. So there are two columns or two fields which have been inserted here. Clause 1 talks about taxable supplies on which e-commerce pays taxes under e-commerce operator pays taxes under 9(5). So this is to be filled up by the e-commerce operator. This first part will be filled up by the e-commerce operator, which may be the e-commerce platform, may be Uber, Zomato. All these people would be filling up these details. They will not be filling up details in normal outward taxable supplies anymore. Second, persons making supplies through e-commerce operator, let's say a restaurant making supplies through e-commerce operator, they need to fill up their details in this second clause, where taxable supplies made by registered persons through e-commerce operator on which e-commerce operator is required to pay taxes under 9(5). So any registered person who are wherein the taxes are being paid by the e-commerce operator, those registered persons will be filling up their details under this field. Right? Now the major changes which have occurred in GSTR-3B has been the changes in reporting of ITC. If you see the red marked portions, those fields have now been changed, and the green marked portion is the field which now they have been amended to. For instance, 4B1 will now contain reversal under Rule 42, 43 as well as reversal of Rule 38 and 17(5). Right? So let's understand what is the change here. Earlier 4B1 used to contain only reversals under Rule 42 and 43. That means if my outward supplies were both taxable and exempt, I had to reverse the proportion of ITC which was in relation to exempt supplies. That used to be reported in 4B1. That will continue to be reported. However, Rule 38 talks about reversal of ITC by banking companies or financial institutions. Now this is an important change which talks about 17(5). Till now a lot of people did not show 17(5) reversal separately. What they used to do was they did not claim the ITC at all in the first place. Now after this change, I will have to avail the ITC in 4A5, which is all other ITC for 17(5). And I would reverse that ITC in 4B1, assuming it is for forward charge. So I will avail the ITC as well as reverse the ITC. Net effect is that I have not availed the ITC at all, right? So it may be for import of goods, import of services, as the case may be. But I will first avail the ITC in all these places, and thereafter I would be reversing that ITC here. Mind you, the earlier requirement of reporting under 4D1 is no longer there because this field itself has now been changed. So I no longer need to report ineligible ITC under 4D1 because this field has now been amended to a different field which we'll talk about in just a while, right? So essentially 4B1 talks about reversal for 42, 43 and 17.5. 4B2, what does it talk about? 4B2 and 4B1 has a difference. 4B1 talks about that ITC to be reversed which is absolute and are not reclaimable. So these are permanent reversals which are not reclaimable. However, 4B2 talks about ITC which are reversed, but the reversal is not permanent and they can be reclaimed. For example, Rule 37. If I need to make payment within 180 days but I have not done so, in that case I need to reverse the ITC and then reclaim that ITC. So reversal of ITC will be done in 4B2. Next, 4B2 talks about reversal of ITC under 16.2B. That means, let us say I have availed the ITC, but some goods have not been received in this month. So let's say in the month of June, I have not received that ITC, though it is appearing, received the goods, even though the ITC is appearing in my 2B. So I have not received those goods, I have not received those supplies. So they are saying I need to show that ITC under all other ITC as well as under reversals, because I would reverse the ITC in the month of June, right? And what would I do in the month of July? Let's say if it is received, I would show that ITC under 4A5. That means next month I'm availing the ITC, so I will show it under 4A5, as well as I will show that ITC under 4D1, which is ITC reclaimed. So it will be shown under both ITC availed and ITC reclaimed here. So mind you, ITC reclaimed does not affect my electronic credit ledger. If I don't show it under all other ITC, I will not be able to reclaim that ITC, right? So I need to show it under both 4A5 and 4D1, right? 16.2C is where the supplier does not make the payment of taxes. Let us say I availed the ITC in the previous month and I saw that the supplier had actually filed his GSTR1 and I availed that ITC based on the fact that it is appearing in my 2B. Later on I find out that the supplier has not made the payment of taxes. So the law now requires me to reverse that ITC, whatever I have claimed under other reversals. Thereafter, once the supplier makes the payment of taxes through 3B, let us say he had not filed his 3B, now he has filed his 3B, then I can reclaim that ITC by showing it under 4B1 and 4A5 and 4D1, which is all other ITC and ITC reclaimed. So this is the requirement of the law. According to me, it is a very difficult requirement to track every month if the supplier has uploaded his 3B, and if I have availed the ITC and the supplier has not filed his 3B, I keep on reversing the ITC, I keep on re-availing the ITC. It is going to be a strenuous task from what the department has said. What about the case where the amount is not appearing in my 2B at all? If the amount is not appearing in my 2B at all, but it is appearing in my books of accounts, in my humble view, we don't need to claim that ITC. We don't need to show that ITC and reverse that ITC. That is only for those cases where I know that I have received the invoice, but the goods have not been received. That is only for those cases, not for cases where the invoice is not appearing in my 2B. If the invoice is not appearing in 2B, in my humble view, we don't need to take the ITC of that at all. Why? Because they are talking about 16.2B, 16.2C, but not 16.2AA, which is the newest condition. 16.2AA is the latest condition which has been inserted, that the invoice should be appearing in my 2A or 2B. If the invoice is not appearing, please don't take the ITC in the first place. Also, if you have not received the invoice in the first place, that means that you are not in possession of the invoice. forget about receiving the goods, you have not even received the invoice, then also in my humble view, you should not take the ITC, right? Third, credit notes. If there are any credit notes, I would recommend that you should show that under reversals 4B2. You should reverse that ITC, right? Now 4D2, which is the last scenario. Again, this is an ineligible ITC under 16.4. So they are saying if the supplier has uploaded his GSTR1 after 20th October, or he has reported any invoice of, let's say, 21-22 after 20th October 2022. So the supplier has uploaded his invoice of 21-22 after 20th October 22, that will appear under ineligible ITC in my 2B. I will show that under ineligible ITC in my 3B as well under 4D2. Also, if the recipient is in a different state than the place of supply, let us say I am in West Bengal, whereas I have received an invoice where CGST SGST of Maharashtra has been charged. In that case, I cannot take that ITC. That will appear in ineligible ITC in my 2B. I will also show that under ineligible ITC in my 3B. Now let us discuss about the interest calculation as to how that will be made, right? So late filing of returns. If I have filed my returns late, right, and let us say there have been no proceedings initiated against me under 73 or 74, then I will pay interest at the rate of 18%, but only on the amount which I have been paying through my cash ledger. On my credit ledger, whatever I am paying, there is no interest liability, and the interest would be calculated from due date of return to actual date of return. Second, in case of late filing of return, where proceedings have been initiated under 73 or 74, I have received the show cause notice under 73 or 74. In that case, I have to pay the amount of which I am paying either through credit ledger or cash ledger. Both the cases, whatever I am paying, 18% interest I would have to pay. If let us say March month's invoice I am declaring in my GSTR1 of April and GSTR3B of April, in that case, irrespective of the fact whatever I am paying through cash or credit, I have to pay interest. I cannot say that I have balance in my credit ledger, so I won't pay interest. Next, biggest change which has occurred now, which is 4 and 5, wherein now they are saying if the amount has been availed wrongly and also utilized wrongly, then only the amount which is utilized wrongly, to that extent I need to pay interest. So from the date, let's say my demand is 1 lakh rupees, whereas balance is only 80,000 in my credit ledger. So I have to pay 20,000 interest. Till the amount is 80,000, I have to pay 20,000 interest on 20,000, right? And if let's say I have not utilized that balance, I have 1,20,000 in my credit ledger and I need to reverse 1 lakh, there is no interest applicable. Now, the period from which I need to pay interest is date of utilization till the date of reversal. Now, what is considered as the date of utilization? This they have explained, that payment of tax, if it is being done through return, if I am doing any payment of tax through my return itself, in that case, actual date or due date, whichever is earlier. So even if I have utilized my ITC on, let's say, 25th of the next month in my 3B, whereas my 3B due date was 20th, interest will be calculated from 20th and not 25th. If I have, let's say, filed my return on 18th, in that case, even though due date was 20th, my interest will be calculated from 18th. If I am making payment through DRC-03, then the date when I am filing DRC-03, I have to find out if I am utilizing the balance of my credit ledger through DRC while making the payment. I will calculate the date of utilization from the date of payment in DRC-03, right? With this, we come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for a very patient hearing. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.